thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me and the rest of the panel and archive. This is Halloween after all. You know what I mean? This is after Halloween after all. It is. Okay. Rest of the panel archive, people. This is Halloween after all. You know what I mean? I think there's an echo. No, it is. Okay. Rest of the panel archive, people. This is Halloween. Okay, I think we're good. We're good now?
Yeah.
All right. I like the sound of my voice, but not that much. You know what I mean? But what's going on, Beeb?
Proud to be an American and live where I am free. Proud to pick Santa Cruz just like G-Funky.
Wow.
Man. And a Millie. A Millie's picking them too.
There you go. Hey, man, great panel. We are back. Leave it in the Ring Roundtable. And everyone listening on the Leave It in the Ring Network, shout out to you listening on the podcast network, whether it's iHeart, whether it's, Apple Podcasts, whatever the hell it is, okay? That's what it's all about, okay? Shout out to Kano Local Sports, BFTV Boxing in the chat. How's it going? Milcar, how's it going, man?
It's going well. Glad to see everyone here. Looking forward to a weekend of boxing that has got me pretty excited.
Well, there you go. And, of course, we have the most Mexican one of them all because he's got the hat on and all that good stuff. Dave 408, how is it going?
Hey, man. Thanks a lot for having me again. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
All right, and we just have it. Look at this, Midnight Boxing in the dark. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. How's it going, Midnight Boxing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Absolutely.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I was having a lot of computer problems.
Gotcha. Hey, man, as long as you're here, you're more than welcome to be here. Chief Funky, one half of 8CP. You know me. How's it going, Chief Funky?
It's going well, man. We got a big weekend of boxing. That's perfect for a boxing junkie like myself. I'm ready.
All right. Okay. And Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter. How's it going, Joe?
Arriba la raza!
Man!
Patos locos forever!
Orale!
Orale!
Hey, let me tell you something, man. Okay? I went through my rounds last night, murdering some people. I've been working on that hook with that machete. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. Okay? But with that said, shout out to Kano Loco. It says, hopefully they not. No, hold on. He said that there's two people. I think there's more than two picking Santa Cruz. We're gonna talk about that for sure. Okay, make no mistake about that. We have a lot to say about that. But we will see. Okay. All right. And BFTV, shout out to he says, I love my bros, Z-Style, Chief Funky, the 8CP boys. That what's going on? Kind of Local Sports. I didn't catch all of your live BFTV. I interviewed Kali Reyes during the live, and I hope I miss Rural Sinatro. Gotcha. All right. Let's get this show on the road. You know what I mean? Alex T, man, I appreciate the support. All right. Thank you, Al Heyman. I think Tank wins by KO or unanimous decision.
That pretty much covers it all, right?
hey, Beef, who named his son after Al Heyman, though?
Leo Santa Cruz, Daddy.
So we can't just assume this is a setup now, but who effing knows? Let's first, however, talk about Friday because this is going to be a loaded weekend, okay? We have the much-anticipated weigh-in to see if this dude can make 130 pounds. I just want to go really quick around the table, okay? We're going to touch on the fight later. A milk card. Does Tank Davis make 130 pounds? Yes or no?
Oh, you're on mute, bro.
Oh man, he's in such shock. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't even know what
He's
to
the one.
say.
The
100%. My bad. I said I would assume it'll make it on the second attempt. I don't think he'll do it on the first.
Wow, detail. Okay, detail. Okay. Dave from 408. First of all, tell everybody where they can find you. That's number one. But also, is he going to make the weight?
Oh, yeah, everybody. You can catch me on Periscope and just hashtag the shoe shine. But yeah, from what I've seen, too, I'm going to second that emotion. I think Tank's going to have trouble making the weight. And for my prediction, I wish that I could see the weigh-in today. So we'll get to the predictions later. But I think he's definitely going to have some trouble. He has a history of it for sure.
All right. And Chief Funky, Tell us what's going on. Is he going to make the weight? Yes or no?
I don't think he makes 130. I mean, he had a attempt at 135 twice in his last fight. He got it on the second try, but I think losing an extra 5 pounds is going to be the deciding factor there, man. If he does, he's doing some serious damage to himself, and I want to talk about that a little bit later. But I don't think he makes it.
Gano Local Sports saying tanked by savage destruction. Man, is he confident? Everybody, shout out to Gano Local Sports. A lot of exclusive interviews, a lot of great stuff, great knowledge when it comes to the Puerto Rican fighters and all of boxing as well. Shout out to you, man. Okay, tanked by devastating KO, and Tank makes it in his first attempts as BFTB. That is confidence I've ever heard it. Hey, Midnight Boxing, is he going to make weight? 130.
Okay, so my prediction is that he's going to struggle, but the illusion is that he did not struggle. He makes it on his first attempt.
Okay, all right. And Joe Habib, is he going to make the weight? Because they have this on the lines, Beeb. You know, people are betting, they're placing bets on whether or not this dude's going to make weight.
He makes weight if he cuts a leg off, but no, he's not.
Man, that's confidence right there.
And he's not even going to make it second attempt. Second attempt, 132.5.
Okay.
And the fight still goes on because Leo Santa Cruz will go take some side money, and the fight will go on.
Oh man, well, we will see. Let's get to the Munguia fight. He'll be fighting Johnson on Friday. Dave, 408. Are you looking forward to this fight? And look, I'm assuming Munguia's gonna win. What would you like to see from Munguia next after this?
You know what? I've been a big fan of Jaime because he's an all-action fighter. But you know, people who followed him know that he has a lot of defensive holes in his game. And now that he's moved up to 160 pounds. I'd like to see him beat Turiano Johnson, but I think Turiano Johnson's game, and he's already faced Derevchenko. So at least we're going to find out if he can get past this test. We can really see whether he's going to make an impact on the 160-pound division. We'll have something to gauge because they'll both have wins. He'll have a win like Derevchenko did over Turiano Johnson.
All right, Joe Habib, how do you feel about this fight, man?
This is an extraordinary, interesting fight. I think Munguia is going to have a real hard time in this fight, and I think it's going to go the distance. I think it's going to be – could be a split decision. And I think that I'm gonna say Johnson's going to pull off the upset. I like the movement. And Munguia is not a one-punch guy, so it's not like when remember when Turiano Johnson fought Curtis Stevens, and he was boxing the shit out of him, boxing his ears off, and then he just got caught with a punch late in the fight, and the fight was stopped. He was up on the scorecards. I don't think Munguia has that type of explosive power, so I think Johnson can pull off the upset here.
Oh wow, that is a hell of a statement. Amilcar, do you see an upset here?
I see Johnson surprising everybody. I was not impressed at all when Munguia took on Hogan, the Australian fighter. He fought him in Monterrey, and he got like a majority decision victory. Yep. And I thought he lost that fight. So I think Johnson will do enough to win, but that Munguia will win it on the scorecards.
Yeah.
And G Funky, Carlos, man, how do you see this one, bro?
I want to go with Munguia. I mean, I heard what these guys are saying about Johnson, but I don't think he's going to be able to pull it out, man. I think that we're going to see something from Munguia here. I think he's finally going to step it up because he knows, as well as we all know, it's time for him to step up in competition. And if he's going to make a name for himself at 160 and get one of these guys like he's been talking about, he's going to have to do some things here tomorrow night. So I expect him to step it up and win. I think it'll be competitive, though, but I think he's going to get the W.
Did he freeze up?
Yeah, I think these guys went he's a little frozen here.
Freeze frame. Freeze frame.
Did anyone else have Hogan winning that fight in Monterrey, or was it just
I actually did. And you know what?
Yeah, Hogan won.
The Hogan fight, I worked closely with one of the guys that was helping promoting him, and he ended up getting a really good opportunity from that fight, where he came up short. Right, he had to go up again, I think, in weight. But he's been on a lot of close calls, especially when he fought that Japanese fighter at 154. That was a slugfest that people didn't expect. He's definitely going to have a rough time on Friday, and like some of you said, it may be an upset in favor of Triano Johnson.
You know what? You know what I don't like about Munguia? He has a hell of a time trying to cut off the ring, and Johnson moves very well. He's a real good mover. He's really stick and move from the outside. And
he does. He also gets hit too much too.
Mm-hmm.
Way too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's he gets a little brave in the pocket sometimes. That's sometimes his downfall, But if he's on his game and he's moving well, I think it'll be tough.
Jason's back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I actually lost connection for there. So it is what it is. Okay. So Chief Funky, thank you very much for that. Okay.
You're welcome.
So let's go ahead and proceed. Look, I don't see an upset, Beeb. Personally, I don't. You know what I mean? But I don't know exactly what you see, but we will find out on Friday. I do think it's going to be a good fight, though. Munguia is very hittable. But
Beeb vision. I got Beeb vision.
Okay.
I got the Beeb vision. You got to.
I don't know that was a thing, but all right. Like, okay, I hear you.
Yeah, they call it the Bieber in the streets.
Hey, the Texan, I appreciate that support, man. Becoming a member, I appreciate it very much. Thank you for that. Midnight Boxing, you have any thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I also believe that Munguia is gonna pull off the win. I think he has an opportunity here to make a statement and kind of get that momentum going and just keep on moving forward. But this is the fight to do it, because as predicted, as we could see with this panel right here, we have a couple people calling for the upset. So with leaving no doubt in this fight, not making it close or even competitive and kind of shining in those moments, he'll be able to get a lot of traction. I think he'll be able to do that.
All right. Well, there we go. I think we're gonna have a great fight, and look, at the end of the day, it wouldn't shock me if Munguia gets upset. I've always said this is not the guy to protect his own or anything like that. Munguia's an action fighter. Like, put him in there in exciting fights, people will show up to watch him. You know what I mean?
Tough guy.
So, and shout out to the Zone, by the way. They're gonna have a Friday card and then a Saturday afternoon card. It's not counter programming any of the other boxing during the weekend. So hey, shout out to the Zone. They're stepping it up like hard. Okay, so which I believe they have to do it. Okay, all right. The Texan, you're welcome, definitely. And he says it's all good. He's finally on this boxing again. Yes. Jab the like button, guys. Make sure it turns blue, and go ahead and share this video on all your social media platforms. We're gonna go ahead and go to a fight that I think it's a kind of an underrated fight, and I think let's talk about it. Usyk against Chisora. All right. Speaking of the Zone, it's going to be on the afternoon. All right. 408. Who do you have winning this fight, man?
Well, I've got Usyk, who is, was at cruiserweight undisputed, 4 belts. And I'm just wondering right now, I've been thinking about Usyk and his trajectory and his career. Are we looking at the next Evander Holyfield as far as cruiserweights going up to heavyweight? Now, we know he's small, but we're going to finally see him against somebody with some size on him. So I still have Usyk winning by a decision, but will he eventually have enough power to take on these quote unquote super heavyweights, the guys that are 6'5", 6'7", 250, 260 pounds, like Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder? But I think it's going to be a good showcase fight for Usyk, and I'm going to say he wins this one, 12-round decision.
All righty. Joe Habib. Who's taking this one, man?
I also like Usyk in this fight. You kind of thought I was going to pick Chisora, though, because I like to pick the underdogs, but I threw you a curveball. I'm taking Usyk in this one. I think
You're not living up to your name. What's going on?
yeah. I think Chisora is he's hot and cold, you know what I mean? He's hot and cold. I don't think he's got fast feet. I think he's hittable. I think you know, a lot of times he can be overly aggressive. I think he leans in. I could see Usyk being the counter puncher in this fight, and I could see Chisora walking into a lot of punches. I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk stopped him. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if Usyk stopped him without just with an accumulation of punches. You know what I mean? Because Usyk is like a razor. Like you see, like when he turns those shots over, he slices guys' face up. You know, so he does damage, man. He does damage. He's such a sharp puncher. You know, like Floyd used to be such a sharp puncher when he was younger, even though he wasn't like a huge puncher, but he was just so sharp and accurate, hit guys so clean that he did a lot of damage because he hit them so clean. Usyk kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
All right, okay. The razor blade, Usyk. Okay, I never quite heard that, but there you go. With
the slasher.
Chief Funky. How's this one gonna go down, man?
Yeah, I got to roll with Usyk, man. I just think, you know, he's the much better boxer in my opinion. But Chisora, big, strong. He comes out, he gets right in your face, man, right away. I think he's gonna do that here in the early rounds. He's gonna come out, and he's got to try to land something big. He's got to see if this guy can take his shots. You know, if Chisora can do that, you know, I really want to see if he's going to be able to hold up to that true heavyweight power. I just don't think he's got enough gas in the tank anymore, man. I think this fight could be fun first 3 to 4 rounds, and then I see Usyk taking over with the legs and the boxing, and be a long night for Chisora, I think. But it should be fun for a little bit, you know?
Okay. All right. A milk card, do you see it any different?
I also have Usyk winning. You started off by saying that it might kind of be an underrated fight. It's really unfortunate that the cruiserweight division has gone under the radar kind of for so long, and that's obviously where, you know, Usyk started. You know, I remember watching Juan Carlos Gomez, Guillermo Jones. There's been a lot of cruiserweights in the past that I've enjoyed watching that just didn't really get the recognition I think they deserve. And I think Usyk kind of falls into that category. Like Joe, talking about slicing up his opponents, he's a super precise puncher. He knows when to use power, when not to use it. He's got good, you know, ring generalship in terms of the way he can boss people in the ring. In fact, I was reading a report today that was kind of highlighting that he had really bossed Klitschko in sparring. So he has experience, obviously, at least training with bigger men and being successful. So it kind of gives me more confidence in that pick. The other thing, too, is, and I like Chisora a lot. I think he's one of the most entertaining guys in boxing. But when he feels that he's losing a fight, he really opens up. I don't remember if you guys saw the last fight he had with Dillian White, the rematch. But he was actually winning on the scorecards. But because of, you know, point deductions that I thought were very unfair, he opened up and left himself open to like that left hook that knocked him out. So I kind of agree with Joe there, and I'm definitely going to be picking Usyk to win this fight, possibly by stoppage.
Midnight Boxing. Is there an upset special waiting to happen here, or are you kind of concurring here?
So I'm pretty much concurring. I'm taking a little bit off of everybody. So G Funky said the first couple rounds will be entertaining. I believe that. 408 says it's going to be a showcase. For I believe that as well. Habib mentioning the punches, slicing, the razor punches, and with the milk card saying that it will be a possible stoppage because of Usyk highlighting all of his boxing. I really believe that that's everything that this fight's going to be. And I also agree that it'll be a late round stoppage, probably from accumulation of punches. Yeah,
it's. I don't see the stoppage. Okay, I think these guys are just too big for Chisora. Like, he did not look good in his last fight either, so I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to stop him. Outside of like the ref saying, "Okay, you had enough" or something like that, but I don't see him like. I don't even think he'll surprise me if he knocks down Chisora. I don't think he's going to knock him down. So accumulation of punches is his best bet. I have Usyk winning a comfortable, like, 9-3, 10-2 decision. I think he'll start, well. He'll probably give away some middle rounds, and then he's going to finish strong. Is the way I see this going. All right. Now, Jupiter B says this should be a showcase fight for Usyk, but if he looks anything like he did against Witherspoon, I got Chisora. Usyk was hit too easily in that fight. Hey, Pete, do you think that's a case of, just not taking his opponent serious?
I think he was coming off of an injury too, and he had a bicep injury. I think he may be in better shape this fight in terms of having that arm. I think I want to say it was his right arm that he had a bicep injury. I think he had a torn bicep, and I think he got some surgery on it, or he rehabbed it or whatever. I think it'll be 100%. I like the way he finished the fight. He started off a little slow, and then he finished the fight very strongly. Sometimes he starts slow, but he always finishes fights. He seems to me to do better as the fight goes along. He's one of them guys that just likes to figure his opponent out. So I don't think he'll have a problem. I think he'll do fine.
Amilcar, what's next for Usyk for you? What would you like, assuming he gets through Chisora? What's next?
Well, yeah, first I'll just add something to what Joe said. I also feel that he felt Witherspoon's power early on and didn't really respect it that much. And oftentimes when guys like that seem to be getting hit, they're doing defensive things like rolling the shots very, in a subtle way.
Sure.
So they're not really getting hit as much as we might think they're getting hit. In terms of where I think he should go, I've said this before. I don't think Tyson Fury is a good opponent for him. He's said that he's confident in taking on Fury, but I see that as a big leap going from Witherspoon to Chisora to Fury. I think he'd have a lot more success with Anthony Joshua, and he's the mandatory for Joshua. Plus, if he wins that fight, it makes the Fury fight much more lucrative for him if he goes in there with 3 belts. So I actually see him doing very well against Joshua. Joshua struggled, obviously, with Andy Ruiz the first time, and I believe Usyk is taller than Andy Ruiz, and I think he's a better boxer, although he's a lot smaller in terms of his weight. And he's a southpaw.
All right, guys, I don't know who has some feedback. There's just a background noise, just so you guys are aware. But it's all good. Savagely Boxing My Mind says, glad to see old school midnight boxing back. Jab the like button. You see, you're remembered, bro. You know what I mean? You ever wonder if you were forgotten?
Bro, I'm surprised. I just disappeared and just never mentioned anything. I just disappeared. I got too busy. I just got way too busy, and I didn't feel it was almost that confidence factor in a way. When I had my channel, I was popping videos out every day almost about every style of fighter, whether they were prospects or very known fighters, and it was almost I'm my own harsh critic. I got so busy that I didn't feel that knowledgeable anymore, so I just kind of stepped away. And Dave, who isn't here right now, he kind of motivated me in a way. He was just like, hey man, just get back on in there, talk about what you know enough, just get back in there. And
right.
And I'm glad I did, because it's starting to get me back into boxing. I never left it behind. I've always caught up with what was going on, but I definitely wasn't as deep as before, and I'm glad I'm back because I missed it.
Absolutely, man. And anybody have any final thoughts? Anybody want to add anything on Usyk Chisora?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what the panel thinks in terms of ranking him as a heavyweight that's gone up to cruiserweight. I think Evander Holyfield's clearly, at least in my opinion, holding the #1 spot there. And surprisingly, I rate David Haye as #2. I can't really think of anyone I'd rate higher than him in terms of moving up as a unified cruiserweight champ and then beating what's his name, Valuev, the big Russian. So right now I'd put Usyk. I don't know if I can even say third because he hasn't really done anything, but I'd like to hear what you guys think.
Here's what I'll say. If you put unified cruiserweight champ, how many of them have there been? I mean, we got Holyfield, we got I mean, I could go back, like if you want me to, like, but there was no cruiserweight division. Like Gene Tunney was a light heavyweight, and then he moved up. You know what I mean? But I can't. There hasn't been that many, I guess. That would be my question, but he would be third out of those three guys, yes.
Yeah, I
Because
think the only other
Witherspoon
ones.
does not outdo what I think the Valuev win, the Ruiz win, not Andy but John, right?
Yeah.
That and to be in a unification fight with Klitschko and to win over Chisora, by the way, who he actually manages now. Okay,
KO win.
yeah, KO win exactly. So Usyk has to beat Chisora in much more convincing fashion. He's an older Chisora than when Hay fought him. So I think it's a good measuring stick. Anybody have anything to add to that?
Does anybody believe that if Usyk does dispose of Chisora, let's say in a very impressive fashion, do you think that he'll be able to at least pass? I know it's going to be a while before he passes somebody like Holyfield, but do you think he passes Hay? Because I was never really that impressed with Hay, and I think that if Usyk is able to dispose of Chisora impressively and just kind of fit in the heavyweight division and make some noise, I think he already passes Hay, in my opinion. I was never really that impressed with Hay. I always thought he was a great talker, great promo. He hypes a fight up, but I was never really that into him.
I gave him credit after the Mormek win, Jean-Marc Mormek. I thought that was a very good win. Mormek was a unified champ and was a tough competitor, and he bossed him. And then there was the Enzo Macronelli fight. I know Enzo's not the greatest, but he totally dominated him.
Yeah,
Really Irish, just really quick, it says, Hay would have had 4 belts at heavyweight division if he didn't dance around and waited to the 12th round to go after Klitschko. Well, I think there's a reason he didn't go after Klitschko, but go ahead, 408.
Oh yeah, I was going to say shout out to my boy Philly Irish in the room, but I have high expectations of Usyk to surpass David Hay, but I do rate him as, like you guys mentioned him, that he deserves an honorable mention for what he did moving up from cruiserweight. And there's always going to be that video of him, with Deontay Wilder in sparring that is kind of legendary.
Yeah, I mean, he's only able to really have that success because he had really big punching power. And like you said,
I don't think Usyk has that punching power.
Yeah.
He's going to he'll make an impact with the volume punching. Guys, what do you think about the sanctioning body that just announced that they want to have a separate heavyweight division for lower weight guys like Usyk?
Yeah, we did touch on that last week. What are your thoughts on that, 408? Do you like it? Are you excited about it? Are you pumped up?
Well, I don't.
Suleiman flag.
Well, historically, since I didn't get to chime in on that episode, but historically, going way back, these heavyweights weren't what we see today. So, but I don't see it gaining traction. They'd all have to get on board and have this new weight class. But it would definitely benefit somebody like Usyk. I mean, I could see him easily being the champion at that weight class.
Yeah, I mean, it is a perfect scenario for Usyk, but he's still going to face bigger guys, though. Look, all they're going to do is 24 hours before the fight, weighing at 225, and then it's going to balloon back up to 250. You know what I mean? Like, he's still going to be fighting big guys. It really doesn't solve the problem. That's my main thing. It's clearly made just to create another weight class, and I'm definitely not happy about it. You know what I mean? Plus, they're moving the cruiserweight down from 200 to 190 again, right? I think when Holyfield fought, it was 190, right? If I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
kind of going back to that, so. But that leaves such a big gap, Like, let picture yourself being a cruiserweight that is cutting weight to make 200 right now, right? And let's say you're a champion. How is that fair, right? How is it fair that now they're gonna change the rules? Now, what are you gonna do? You either have to dehydrate yourself 10 more pounds, or fight guys that are dehydrating themselves to make 225. It's a mess for sure. All right.
It is. The only counter argument to that is that there's such a big weight disparity over 200, and in some of these lower weight classes, it's like the difference in weight classes is like 3 pounds, 7 pounds, even middleweight to super middleweight's 8 pounds, and then obviously super middle to light heavyweight is roughly that as well. So
Dude,
it's
they say that the weight classes are separated by more pounds and it makes sense because the percentage of the body weight. However,
yeah.
when you go from welterweight to 154, I mean, it's not that big of a, it's still 7 pounds, right?
No,
And then you
or
go
from
from
160.
154 to 160. So that's only
Yeah.
6 pounds?
Yeah. And then
Like-
168 to 175. I mean,
Yeah.
that's only 7 pounds. In fact, that's less than it is from 160 to 168. A lot of it doesn't make any sense.
It should be the opposite, Well, what's happening is the original weight classes were structured, and they just started throwing weight classes in between that. Okay, that's basically what happened. Hey guys, make sure you jab my like button. We've got 31 people on here. Let's see 31 likes. Okay, hey, check it out. Let's go ahead and but before I proceed, anybody else have anything to add regarding the new weight class, really quick?
I hate it. That's all I'm going to say.
Anybody a fan of it?
I'd rather get kicked in the nuts about 20 times. That's better. That's better than having that weight class.
I think we should have fewer weight classes
Dang.
Yes.
across the
Okay.
board.
So that's why you hate your ex, babe, right? No, but hey, man, let's talk about this women fight really quick, okay? We got Sulem Urbina going up against Marlene Esparza. They fought twice, I believe 3 times, 2 or 3 times. Anybody could correct me on that. In the amateurs, Esparza always got the better of Sulem, okay? And as we know, Esparza is an Olympian. Okay, she just lost to Sinisa Estrada, and now, but she's coming off that loss. Now she's going to be fighting Sulem. Sulem recently signed, with Golden Boy. She's officially part of Golden Boy, and here it is. It's about to go down. Okay, Beeb, you practically asked Sulem out for a date, so I hope you could keep this. I hope you could be impartial and not biased in this one. So I'm going to go to you first, Beeb. Who wins this one?
Sparza.
All right. Okay. All right. I got Esparza too. I think her amateur pedigree
Yeah.
is pretty solid, and in the women's classes it kind of matters, But that's what I think. Amilcar, who do you got?
I agree. She's got the Olympic and amateur background. I mean, across the board for me, the problem with women's boxing is that there's not much depth. So, and because of that, there isn't much competition, at least highly skilled competition in each weight class. So then what ends up happening is kind of people, have these catch weight fights. And I see it as a big problem with women's boxing. We need women's boxing to get to the level of where women's judo is, where it's across the world, a lot of people competing in it, and it's more competitive.
Okay. Well said. All right. 408, you have any thoughts on this upcoming matchup with the ladies here?
Well, I think Urbina, I'm sorry, Sulem, it's interesting she signed with Golden Boy, because with Golden Boy, arguably the heavy hitting diva, I saw her win her championship. I was actually at that fight. I think she did really well for Golden Boy last year. I think this will put her on a bigger stage if she can pull off an upset, but it may be unlikely. It's looking unlikely.
And before I proceed, hey, Amilcar, are you now convinced to subscribe to the Zone again, given this weekend?
It's getting there. I mean, it was slim pickings a few weeks ago. I was looking at the schedule, and it was all cricket and very low level football, soccer. So yeah, we might be getting in there.
Okay, all right.
I think I'm gonna have to order it again for to watch the Usyk and Chisora fight.
Yeah, and this fight too, and Munguia.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have to do it before Friday night.
Right, yeah, there you go. All right, and midnight boxing. Do you have any opinion on this? I know a lot of boxing fans are machismo and this and that. Are you familiar with these ladies?
No, I am, and
Okay.
I actually don't mind women in combat sports. I've always praised it when the UFC was doing it. I praise it whenever boxing's doing it. With what Amilcar was saying, yeah, it just takes time before these divisions start to get filled up with a lot of talented female fighters. It just takes time. And will it happen? We'll see. Fights like this, kind of getting them out on the mainstream is what will kind of motivate younger girls to get on in there and give it a try. What you'll see with MMA is they put it at a big stage, so it's been motivating younger girls to go in there and give it a try. So whether they choose MMA or they choose boxing, the option is there. So I just think it'll take time. Who do I think will win? I got Esparza just with the background, but Rubina being signed, it's kind of a big deal. So I'm just in to see a good fight, to be honest.
Okay, there you go. And Chief Funky man, you spoke on that yesterday, but just to confirm, who do you got? Who do you got in this fight?
I'm rolling with Sulim. I think those losses, she's ready to get revenge, you know, and I think she's ready to do it, man. And plus, she's my first interview, so I'm gonna roll with her, you know.
Man, well, look at that. Well, okay. Well, hey, man, I got Esparza winning this fight, man. I think it's going to be a great fight. Again, that is tomorrow on the Zone, on the undercard of the Munguia fight. Do not miss it. It's going to be a great fight. If there's one thing the ladies do, they always bring it, and they bring it hard.
Yes, they do.
They're going to give you a good fight. Okay, and let me tell you, Sulem has a chip on her shoulder when it comes to Esparza. She couldn't beat her in the amateur, so she's coming out there with something to prove. She's going to have more rounds to do it, and you know, Esparza herself has something to prove. She just came off the loss to Cenis Estrada, and she wants to get back on that saddle and back to contention. So this is an eliminator. So shout out to the Zone. Shout out to Golden Boys for putting this on the undercard. I think it's going to be a great fight. Okay, great stuff. There's another women's fight. This will be on the undercard of the Inoue fight. Okay, I think it's a great fight. All right, Makila Mayer against Bratnica. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and sell this fight for. It's gonna sell itself right now. Everyone in the chat's gonna watch this fight tomorrow. Joe Habib.
Yes, sir.
Who do you got winning this fight?
Show.
Did you have to stick that girl in my face before you asked me? I mean, come on, buddy.
You got to look at the weigh-in. You got to make sure you analyze, just like we're analyzing the weigh-in tomorrow. You have to analyze the weigh-in properly. You know what I mean? You got to know if she's in shape. What if she looks dehydrated or something? You know what I mean?
Well, I'll say she don't look dehydrated to me, baby. I'd like to dehydrate her, but she doesn't look dehydrated. No, okay. Let's get back on track. Let's get back on track here. You know, I wasn't a big fan of Mayer, but I'm starting to see her get a little bit better. I'm starting to see her fight more poised. I like. I think she's turning her punches over a little bit better, and she's not loading up, and she's throwing her punches straighter now. Sometimes, you know, she's a little bit wide open. Her defense still needs a little bit of work because sometimes she leans in a little bit too much, and she doesn't pull her hands back quick enough. But I like how she's, you know, setting up her shots better, and she's working behind her jab good. So I like Mayer. I think Mayer will continue to improve, and I think she's got a great trainer. And I like Mayer in the fight.
Look at all these guys in the chat. Okay, what's the matter with y'all? This is serious boxing talk. Okay. Amilcar, I want to go to you. I want to ask you this.
Yep.
In your opinion, is, you know, because I heard you talk about, you know, Lopez, the way he's cocky, the way he talks to champions, and Mikhail kind of does the same thing, you know, like she goes at Harper a lot and always attacks her, mocks her boxing, and she kind of does the same to Bratnica, saying she don't have a shot, she's not at my level. Does she rub you the wrong way?
It's interesting you put it that way, but no.
Okay. Hey, fair enough.
Yeah, my mind's obviously in other places because of this photo, but yeah, it's okay. You know it's okay. I mean, she can do her thing. The thing is, sex sells, so, and publicity sells, and let's be honest, the paydays in women's boxing are not very big, so she's got to do what she's got to do.
Fair enough.
You know, what he was just saying, Amilcar, I would love for this panel to sometime try to possibly invite from a female perspective. What he just mentioned is really important. The idea that sex sells and that the female fighters have to have a certain level of sex appeal to garner the attention to get these big fights. But I'd like to hear a female perspective down the line. And also 2-minute rounds versus 3-minute rounds in female boxing can be a huge deciding factor whether a woman has enough power to get them out. Whether or not women should even be fighting 3-minute rounds as opposed to what they do now, the 2-minute rounds. But I'd like to hear a female's perspective on those two.
Do you want to hear something?
Back to Mia St. John. Like, I'm sure you all remembered her.
Oh yeah.
You know,
do you want to hear something?
And everything.
Do you want to hear something crazy? All the female fighters I've interviewed, out of all of them, only one of them said they like the 2-minute rounds. They don't mind it, and that's Christina Hammer. She was like, "It's the rules." Like all the other female fighters that I've interviewed, they don't like them. They hate the 3-minute rounds because they feel. Excuse me, the 2-minute rounds. They feel that the 2-minute rounds makes them less than the male fighters. It's kind of knock on them, like we're not as good as the men, so we have to fight 2-minute rounds. So in order for us to get the paydays that the men get, we have to do what the men do and fight 3-minute rounds. So
I have some thoughts on that, but just really quick, I want to Chief Funky. Who do you think is going to win the fight?
I'm going with Mayor. I'm going with Mayor. Yeah.
Midnight. Who do you got in that fight?
I don't know much about these females, but I'm gonna have to do some research. After I gotta broaden my knowledge. But definitely with the topic of the 2 to 3 minute rounds, that's not a bad little shout.
Makes sense. Okay.
I'm gonna call the commission on that. Don't worry.
Okay. And the 408, I don't think you gave me a prediction.
I'm gonna go with Mayor. She's the emerging star in her division, so I'm gonna go with Mayor. And I know virtually nothing about her opponent, other than maybe they're just bringing in her to make Mayor look good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, yeah, makes sense. Okay. Because I do want to have a discussion on this round thing. Okay. So look, I want the women to have the same rights and all that, but every time, like I brought it up to Sulem, and the first thing she says is like, "Oh no, but I'm all for fighting 3 minutes, but they got to pay me more." Like that's not how it works. You're not on the clock like that. Like, we're not paying you per minute. Okay, like you get paid for what you attract and what comes in. Like, you know what I mean? So yes, a lot of women want the 3 rounds, but do they deserve to make more money because you add an extra minute to the round?
That's
it would be like tennis.
You know what that would be like? That would be like going to your boss and saying, "Just give me a raise," instead of like earning the money. Like, okay, if you want me to do more, you got to give me a raise first. It's like, no, you got to show me that you're gonna do more before I give you the raise. It doesn't go backwards.
Hey, shout out to Boxing Wave, by the way. Milcar, what do you think of that? Like, because it is a thing, by the way. There's women saying, Brackus was one of them, came out, "Hey, if you want us to fight more than 2 minutes, you got to pay us more."
Yeah, I mean, what I was saying was that's what it's like in female tennis versus men's tennis. In the women's game, they play 2 out of 3 sets. In the men's game, they play 3 out of 5. You'll see matches go, hours and hours long, but yet the women get paid the same as the men. So what I would say is that rather than be paid in terms of minutes, they should be like the men. Like when you initially start your career, you do 4-rounders. Then you move up to 6, then 8, then 10, then 12, and your pay goes up like that based on the rounds of the fight that you've been contracted to take. Here we go with the distractions again.
Keep focus. You gotta focus, Emil Carr. Go ahead.
It's the tape. I think that's tape. But yeah,
I think we lost him.
Yeah, homie in the back though.
What are you trying? I don't want anyone.
Hey, Midnight Boxing. What can you assess? Because it's important to assess the weigh-ins. Like, what can you assess? Because you say you need to do your research. That's why I'm putting this up here. This is for educational purposes. Do they both look in shape and ready to go?
They made weight. They made weight. Yeah. Now with the 2 minute in the 3 minute rounds with them being paid more, I agree with Emil Carr. It's the standard should be the 3-minute rounds, no matter if you're male or female. And then you start with your 4-rounders, your 6-rounders, your 10s, your 12s. And as you go up and you start gaining traction, you start getting paid more. If we're just to keep it honest, it's a business, a promotion. If you don't bring in no money, even if you're a male or a female, you're not going to get paid more just because you did 3 rounds. Vice 2. If anything, if you're doing 2-minute rounds and you are considered to be shit hot, they could use that against you. The promoter can use that against you. They could say, well, you are only doing 2 rounds, vice 3. Honestly, if we're going to play devil's advocate. So I just think the standard of the 3-minute rounds is where it's at. And if you start generating traction, you start getting that buzz, you start bringing in that money, we start getting paid more. That's just the way it goes.
This sport's always been about how many butts can you put in the seats.
Right.
That's what it's about. How much money can you generate? So if we jack this up to 3-minute rounds and you're not generating the revenue in order for us or order for the promoter or the network to pay you more or put up more money for your fight, then we can't pay you. You can't pay. Without pay them what's not in the budget, right?
It works both ways. Look, okay. Period. Sulem herself said, all right. She herself told us, hey, you know how many times I had a girl in trouble, but then the bell would ring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You would have a lot of fights go a lot less, right? You could have maybe finished rough in the 3rd round. You don't have to box all those extra rounds, right? If you have more time to get them out of there. So, in my opinion, it's equal rights, works both ways. So if you want to pay, I get it, but you got to be paying.
I'm gonna have to talk.
I'm looking
I'm gonna have to talk to her. I'm gonna have to call her up and talk to her, man.
I'm looking at Mexico native saying equal pay. The same thing's going on in soccer with the men's and women's national teams, where the men qualify for the World Cup and they're sharing $1 billion TV pot, because that's what you get as a national team when you qualify for the World Cup. There just aren't as many people watching the female World Cup. So if they make that, we're talking sharing $1 million or millions of dollar pot, but yet the women are demanding to be paid what the men are bringing in.
If you generate, you're going to get paid what you generate. Look, Christy Martin at one point was making more than 99% of male boxers out there.
Yep.
Okay.
Because the issue is what I see is that a lot of people, they'll try to compare a regular business or what your job is to a sport. It's not the same. It's not. If I go in and I flip burgers and the female next to me flips burgers as well, 100% equal pay. But if we're talking about what brings in viewership and ad revenues and everything, if a certain demographic is bringing in $10 million and the other demographic is bringing in 500,000, how the hell are you going to expect equal pay? It's not realistic. So you got to get out of that mindset. It's not a normal business. It's different.
No, it would be like paying Sabrina Ionescu in the WNBA what LeBron James makes, because they both play basketball. I mean, it's totally different.
And we stick to boxing, all the men don't make the same amount.
Agree.
Just look at the undercard of Leo versus, like, if you look at the pay scale, it's a dramatic difference between Leo and Tank, what they're going to make compared to the undercard. It's a huge gap.
There's one thing you're never going to see. There's one thing you're never, ever in your life going to see in combat sports, and that's a union. So if you don't have a union, then it's all about what you can generate as a fighter. That's how you're going to get paid.
Okay. And I'll tell you what, it is possible to get women to shine. The UFC proved it, right? So we could criticize the UFC all we want, but they put the shine on, Ronda Rousey, Amanda Nunes, and whether we like it or not, they put more shine. Like Holly Holm made more money going over there than when she was in boxing in her prime.
Yes.
Yeah, but the
she
reason
did.
is what I was alluding to before. There's much more depth in women's martial arts than there is in women's boxing. Like
that's
judo,
correct.
judo has been an Olympic sport for females for a very long time. Ronda Rousey was a judoka. Like, there are a lot of women that do judo. There are a lot of women that do taekwondo. It's also been an Olympic sport for a really long time. So that actually does make sense. Women's boxing is only a recent phenomenon, at least at the amateur level.
It's not impossible for a woman to become a big star in boxing. Like it's happened before. you know. But we'll see where it goes from there. G-Funk, you have anything to add?
Just a little something, man. Little 2 cents. I agree with both sides. Of course, they don't generate the type of money that the males do, but I mean, on the same, on the women's side, I'm not going to stand in their way. If they can get it, hey, go get it. I'm not going to say, nah, you don't deserve it. I'm like that. If the promoters say, hey, maybe you're right. Maybe we should pay a little more, and they get it. Hey, more power to them.
Yeah. Well,
Oh yeah.
And here's
And
another.
for other women out there, you outnumber men in this country. By the way, I'm just saying.
Here's another thing that the women can do. They can say, "Hey, you need to push us more. You need to promote us more. You need to do more help, and you need to promote us and push us as hard as you push the guys." So that's something that's. See, I should manage Sulam. I could negotiate some of these contracts.
Definitely, right. Okay.
Right off the bat, man.
Before we proceed, Forward, you have anything to add?
No, I'm glad you guys elaborated on that, the 2-minute versus 3-minute rounds, because I think that if they went to 3 minutes, we'd possibly see a lot more knockouts, and that actually probably would increase the fan base to see more knockouts in female boxing.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I agree. I think the timekeeper and the Gallo Estrada, fight against Cuadras thought that was a female round because he rang the bell a little early there. You know what I mean? Like, spontaneously bring this up. Gallo Estrada versus Chocolatito, who I counted out, and hey, he made a comeback. Props to him. Let's just go around here. Who wins the rematch, assuming it happens, which I believe it will, in 2021? And props to Eddie Hearn for making all that happen, by the way. Milcar, who do you think wins that rematch in 2021?
There's two ways that I kind of look at it. One is that Gallo Estrada had a much tougher fight and came through it successfully against a much better opponent than Chocolatito. And so, Chocolatito might be a little bit fresher depending on when they have the fight. The other side of it, though, is Chocolatito took a young kid with 3 losses on his record,
right?
Full 12 rounds. I said this on Leave It in the Ring on Monday, but, a prime Chocolatito would have dispatched of him real quick. And he was getting hit quite a bit. I mean, I think Chocolatito's lucky that kid also named, obviously, Gonzalez, Jigga Gonzalez, didn't have more punching power because he was throwing combinations. He was hitting him to the head, to the body. If Gallo Estrada lands like that, it's a whole other story. So I'd have to lean towards Gallo Estrada. I was very impressed by the way he kind of came up from the knockdown and battled through and earned the knockout himself.
Okay, all right. Beeb, who wins the rematch?
I think Estrada stops him. The big thing I noticed with Gonzalez is I think his defensive reflexes have really dulled. You could see he wasn't as sharp. He wasn't able to react to those punches, and looks like he's lost a step. And I think the miles that he has on him, I think, are starting to take their toll. Whereas Estrada looks like he's actually picking up steam and getting better. He looked sharp. He looked real sharp. He looked poised in that fight. He was so patient in that fight. And the big thing was, it was all about timing in that fight. He was punching in between of in between and inside the punches of Cuadras. Cuadras is you could argue may even be faster than Estrada, maybe more athletic. He's kind of has that, that flamboyant, flashy type style, but Estrada's more of the meat and potatoes, bread and butter type guy, the basics. And I think, Estrada just picked him apart because he was just shooting shots down the middle. He was getting there by, because he was shortening up his shots, and he was just, he won that fight basically on technique. He's a smart fighter where I think, Chocolatito's a good fighter, but he was never a great defensive fighter. He always seemed to get in firefights and get hit and take their toll. Estrada's more of a guy who's a little bit more defensively responsible, and I think he's just such a sharp, precise puncher, and he's how to put shots together, and he can go to the body as well. I think Estrada picks him apart and stops him.
All right. And 408, who do you think wins that fight, man?
Well, regrettably, I wasn't here last week, and you guys probably covered another fight of the year contender, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Chocolatito, I think he's already hit his prime and is on the other side coming down, and he's been taking a lot of punishment. And while the other guy isn't as fresh either, I think that he has a good chance of beating Chocolatito. And I want to say this about Chocolatito. I think, because we're going to cover it, obviously, with Leo Santa Cruz, is that I see a lot of parallels in their career.
Okay, definitely. All right. And Chief Funky. Chuka chuka. Chief Funky. What's up? Who do you got?
El Gallo, baby. I just think he's got a lot of momentum going right now. He looks a lot more sharp, more crisp. Although Chocolatito still looks like he's a guy who can press the action for a full 12. And that's exactly what he did to that young kid last week. He stayed on top of him. I agree with Milcar. He did take a lot more punches than I would like to see him taking, but he was still able to shake those shots off, put a lot of pressure, and throw combinations back himself. And that's what won him the fight. But Estrada, he's right now he's rolling, man. So I got to go with El Gallo.
All righty, and Midnight Boxing. What do you got?
Oh. So I'll start off with, that was a great night of fights. Both of those fights were really, really good. So for me, I have Estrada winning. I have two scenarios though. Where is the location of this fight? If they're fighting exactly where they were before, which is Mexico City, and the elevation is high, meaning the altitude is high, meaning you most likely gas more, you got to have a longer tank. I think Estrada wins in an impressive fashion if I look at a snapshot of both of those fights on that night. If they fight in that same venue, same location, I just think the momentum that Estrada got going on right now, I think he actually looks very impressive against Chocolatito. Now, if they go somewhere else where the altitude is not a factor, I think the fight is closer, but I still have Estrada winning that fight. That's my take.
It's interesting that you mentioned the altitude. I used to actually live in DFA, and you feel it like the first few days when you're there.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I was trying to play basketball. I went to the boxing gym, and I'd be like out of breath almost immediately. It takes a while to, get used to that kind of environment. So, and it's also one of the reasons a national team is so successful at Estadio Azteca,
Yeah.
Against opponents, because they're there in that high altitude, and these other teams are being flown in, and it's tough to play there. So yeah, that's a really good point, man.
Yeah, and as Emil,
hard to beat him in Mexico City, yes.
Yeah, as Amilcar says as well, a lot of these other fighters that know that they're going to be fighting in a high altitude, they'll go and they'll move their training camp maybe a couple weeks before to get used to the altitude. It's still not the same thing. It really isn't. When trainers go up to Big Bear to go fight in and train in Big Bear, that makes a big difference when you're there for long periods of time. If you're just doing a couple of weeks, yeah, your body feels like it's like you're used to it, but after the 6th round, it's not there.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that they're gonna try to put this fight in Carson, California, in that tennis stadium where they have been a lot of good fights there. So I think that's a pretty good place to have a fight like this.
It's an excellent. The Stub, formerly known as the Stub Hub. It's a fantastic venue for boxing.
Oh, yeah. And there's just something about that spot. There's something magical about it when you put the right opponents in.
Yeah, and I think it's just the size of the place. I mean, it's not small, but it's not big. It's like right in the middle. So there's not you could get a good seat anywhere. So people, when you can see good, people just get more into the fight. That's just the way I feel about it.
It's more intimate.
Smaller than a tennis court, smaller than a basketball court. So it's made to be closer to the action. So it's practically made for boxing, really.
Bro, I've been saying it for years that out here in New York, they should have been doing boxing cards at the Arthur Ashe Stadium where they hold the U.S. Open. Like, it's a beautiful stadium, and it would be perfect for boxing.
Yeah. Hey.
Absolutely, yeah.
There you go. Although when I see fights in New York, they like to market Madison Square Garden, the Garden Theater. But hey, I'm all for that, man. An opportunity here to give us the Teddy Atlas rant of the week, because according to Teddy Atlas, there's no good boxing fights anywhere. I mean, like he's every week after week, he just shits on boxing. There's no good boxing, said nothing He said nothing about the Friday card on the zone. I haven't seen anything. I went to his Twitter. I checked. Nothing. Hey Teddy, you said there was no good boxing. He's got a big platform. He could educate people about it. But Beeb, what are your thoughts on that, man?
He's a fucking idiot, that guy. All that guy does is bitch and complain. He is a cantankerous old man. He's just so salty that he got demoted. I don't care what anyone says. Now he's got to be on YouTube like the rest of us, but there's only one difference. We have a good podcast. His podcast sucks.
He spelled Vasil Lomachenko's name incorrectly as well. So
What do you expect? The guy's an
I
idiot.
don't know what you go to his channel. It's like the title is wrong.
Low IQ. What do you expect from that guy?
There's nothing going on in boxing. Look, Khabib, he talked about Khabib's retirement, about his fight. Like, he said nothing about the Friday fights.
Because you know what it is? Because he doesn't follow the sport. That's what it is. Because he doesn't have a job anymore, he's not forced to follow the sport. So now he only comments on like the huge big name fighters. But again, this is a big fight coming up with Santa Cruz and Tank Davis.
Yeah,
Big fight coming up.
Well, what about Ken Ryder? What do you think of him?
Well,
Say again?
We're gonna touch on
his
those
partner,
fights.
his Robin, his Batman.
Oh, Ken Rideout?
Yeah, Rideout. Yes.
Is he Robin or is he like
Ken
what's the butter's name? What's that dude's name?
Ken Rideout. I call him Ken Rideout. I don't want to say it out here because I don't want to get you in trouble.
Master Bruce. Like, what was that dude's name?
I call him Ken Rideout. I call him Ken Rideout Dick.
Wow. Well, with that said, all right, make sure you guys throw a jab on my like button and share the video on all your social media platforms. We got a great show here for you. For those that just came in, as it says there in the bottom, Inoue against Jason Maloney, man. Monster Inoue has been promoted hard by Top Rank, but for whatever reason, ESPN's going to have it on the Plus on the app. Good fight, in my opinion. But let's take it around here. A Milcar, Monster Inoue against Maloney. Who's winning this fight?
I try to stay unbiased, believe it or not. That wasn't a Freudian slip, by the way. And I'm a huge fan of Inoue. And as much of a fan as of Inoue, I'm a big fan, of his dad, Shinzo. I think he's done a tremendous job with him. And I see this ending in a vicious, savage KO knockout, as most of his fights do. I just think his punching power is next level.
Are you looking at a early stoppage?
Under 5 rounds.
All right, Maloney has to go in 5. Okay.
Oh, let's say 6. Let's say 6.
The over-run is 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5.
I'm saying 6. That's why I adjusted it.
You taking the under? You taking the under?
I'm taking the under, Joe.
Want me to go up to Seabrook for you? Place the nice under for you?
Yo, if you got Venmo or Chase Pay, I'll send that to you.
Wow. Okay, Joe Habib. How is this one gonna end up, man? How do you see this one?
I'm picking Inoue to win this fight, but I just have a feeling this fight may go the distance. I don't know. I think Maloney's tough. I think he's gonna come to fight. I know he's not the hardest guy in the world to hit, but I think he's a tough guy. I think he can use his range a little bit. I think he's gonna fight smart. I just think this is going to be a more tougher fight for Inoue than people are really giving credit for. I think this is going to be a tougher fight. I see Maloney really, coming to this fight with his A game. I think he's going to be on top of his game. I think it's going to be a tough fight.
Joe, I mean, just to jump in here real quick, he's got a loss on his record. Okay, that's fine. No big deal. He lost to Emmanuel Rodriguez.
Okay, so dude that Inoue knocked out in a round, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And do you really see him being any better than Emmanuel Rodriguez or Juan Carlos Payano?
Well,
I don't.
I didn't
or
like
Jamie
how
McDonald.
I didn't like how Inoue looked against Donaire, to be honest with you. I didn't like that fight.
Yeah, but he was dealing with a bad injury too.
Yeah,
and he fought through it.
He's coming off of a layoff too. Maloney's fought. He fought recently. I just think this is going to be a tough fight for some reason.
Is Maloney a better fighter than Jamie McDonald? I kind of place him kind of in that category myself.
I mean, we're trying to play combat math here, and is Andy Ruiz a better fighter than Joseph Parker? I mean, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough when
but let me say this, Beeb. Honestly, okay, the calculated Beeb. The Beeb that breaks it down, the Beeb eyes, the Beeb this and the Beeb that. I have a feeling. Like, what do you mean you got a feeling?
I'll tell you why.
We're doing to get the black what do you mean you have a feeling?
I think Inoue is going to come out flat.
I got a feeling.
I think Inoue
like that.
I think Inoue is going to come out flat.
Okay.
And I think Maloney is gonna bring his A game. I think he's gonna be better than what he showed in his last fight.
You know what it is?
I think that was an off night. I'll be honest with you. I just think that was I think Maloney could do better than when he.
You think Maloney has the eye of the tiger? Is what you're telling me? Because
no, I just think
you saw the tweet that you retweeted that I put out when Maloney's saying everybody's counting me out. I'm here. I got the eye of the tiger. Well, he didn't say eye of the tiger, but you're sold by his confidence and his will to come out.
Bad fighter. I don't think he's a bad fighter.
I don't either.
And I just think that we're getting a little too fast with Inoue with the praise. You know what I mean?
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes,
I think he's been underrated for a really long time.
Let's do this. We'll discuss that, but let's get the predictions really quick.
Yeah.
408. Who do you got winning this fight?
Well, I think the Maloney and his brother are really likable athletes, and they're a nice addition to the Top Rank stable. But I think he's going to be outgunned here. And I'm glad that you brought up Nonito Donaire, because that was Nonito Donaire's last stand. That was a fantastic performance from an aging veteran champion, and he's from the Bay Area, so how can I not root for him? But I think Maloney's going to run into the monster this Saturday and see what that's all about. It's going to be like Godzilla coming at him. I don't see him going the distance.
Hey, Beeb.
Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why I think this is going to be a difficult fight for Inoue? Because I think Maloney is going to box him from the outside.
What? You have a feeling? Go ahead, Beeb.
No, I think Maloney's going to box him from the outside, and I think Inoue, I think he likes to get somewhat close to his opponent. He's a guy that likes to move forward. I just believe that Maloney is going to keep him on the outside. I think he's going to jab. I think he's going to keep at the end of the jab. I think he's going to keep this fight at a distance. And Inoue likes to get in a little close, and he likes to shoot those short, choppy shots. I have a feeling Maloney. I think Maloney's going to be able to survive. I just think he's going to stay out of harm's way.
I disagree.
But in all seriousness, we're going to get to that. Midnight Boxing, who's winning this fight?
He keeps
Yeah. I got Inoue winning. I also go with the mill card. He went originally with the 5 and switched it to 6. I have it at 6 rounds. I think the whole promo package, everything, ESPN, the whole machine is behind this man. Now, does that mean that he's going to win? I mean, we've seen plenty of upsets. I don't believe in this situation we're going to see an upset. I think the machine is behind him for a reason. This is going to be the breakout U.S. performance, and for ESPN Plus boxing.
Okay.
I'm sticking with my gut feeling. I think Inoue's going to be off.
What I want to do is counter one of the points you made, but I'm waiting. I'll wait my turn. I'll wait my turn.
Okay. G Funky, what's your prediction for this fight?
Well, I'm going to take Inoue to win, but I think it's going to go over the 6.5 that Vegas has it at. I said this last year, man, going into the Donaire fight, and people called me crazy again, man. I don't know why they always call me crazy. They always call him Beeb crazy. These
no one
crazy.
listens.
No
one
one listens,
listens.
man. I told you guys, Donaire was going to go in there and do some work, man. Everybody's like, Donaire's old. He's done. Anyway, he's going to beat this guy within 4 rounds and all this other stuff. And he was he was badly hurt in that fight, getting hit with right hands. And that's not even Donaire's. That's not even his specialty. His punch, man. He's a left hook guy.
His confidence is shaken.
He's blasting with right hands, man.
He's not the same anymore.
He's very hittable, man. He's very hittable.
I don't think any of that should be surprising, though. I mean, he started out as a light flyweight, and Nonito had been fighting up at 126. So I know people were saying and downgrading Nonito and saying he was going to get iced in a round or whatever. I never really bought into that because of his experience and the fact that he'd been fighting bigger guys. He started as a junior flyweight. He skipped flyweight, I believe, and is now fighting at 118 pounds. And if you want to see a guy able to fight on the outside against a guy trying to fight him on the outside, look at the Payano fight. Payano did not want to engage in a close encounter because
Maloney's bigger.
He's got vaunted power on the inside.
Maloney's bigger.
I mean, the guy that he fought on HBO when that was his first USA debut.
That
dude went like 8 rounds, and that dude was a part-time boxer, full-time banker. So I mean,
the kid has problem.
Man, I'm just saying. All right.
The kid has problem with range. He doesn't like when people fight him on the outside. He has to chase people. He's not effective unless he's in the mid-range. This kid. He's another mid-range guy. Just being honest.
I just want to make sure, did everyone give their pick already? Because I lost track. I'm going to be honest. So, 408, did you give your pick?
I did. I'm going with the Monster in less than 12.
Okay. I'm going with Monster. I think he'll knock Maloney out in the late rounds, I think.
So you're saying late rounds too. So you think this fight's gonna go rounds, but you're yelling at me. You said you had a feeling, and like it was just a lot of emotion. I think you like Maloney. I think you think he's a nice guy, and you believe in him or something. You know what I mean? You're like trying Maloney, to create controversy.
No. Like you like Maloney, right? You think it's a nice person.
This ain't TMZ, Daddy.
No, I'm just saying. Like I just felt like it was a little beneath.
My feeling is I think that Inoue was going to be a little flat in this fight. That's my feeling.
So it's going to bring me to this, okay? All right? Is Inoue overrated, okay? Now, let me explain to people what I mean by overrated. It doesn't mean I think he sucks. It doesn't mean I think he's trash. It doesn't mean I think he's dumpster juice or something like that, okay? It just means that I don't think it's blasphemy to say that he isn't like this unstoppable force that he's made out to be. Like I'm sorry, okay? There's always these fighters that when I question where they're put, right? I get this blasphemy talk, right? Amilcar, you said he's underrated. He's number 2, number 3 in all the pound for pound list. How is he underrated? I need to hear.
Those guys just started dick riding recently. Like I've been following him like since the beginning and have been a fan of his since he was fighting at light flyweight. I asked Dave. I was like one of the first people to start talking about him, and he's iced multiple world champions and ex-world champions, has unified titles, won the World Boxing Super Series. He's knocked out guys that were undefeated when he fought them, like Emmanuel Rodriguez. He's done what he needs to do, and he's been doing it for a long time. There's all kind of people that jump on bandwagons, and the pound for pound list. We talked about that before. Like for me, it only holds value if you talk about how dominant a guy is in his division. I'm not saying he's unbeatable. Anyone can lose if they're matched against the right opponent. I just don't necessarily think that Maloney's the guy. One thing, though, I do think that's interesting about this fight and Maloney taking it is that he was actually the mandatory in the WBO for Casimero, and he's decided to take on Inoue. So maybe he's seen something. Maybe he sees what Joe is seeing.
There's a reason
because he could have taken on Casimero. He's the mandatory for that. So maybe there is something there. But until I see otherwise, Inoue's the guy.
The kid has a problem with movement, and he has a problem fighting guys who control the range on him. Keep him at a distance. He doesn't like when guys keep him at a distance. He likes to get close.
A couple of things in regards to the accomplishments. Okay, in my opinion, look. First of all, quick disclosure: I love the little guys. I love watching all the weight classes. I was a big fan of Finito Lopez, right? Eric Morales, you name it.
50-0, man.
Growing up watching Mexican boxing, you have to watch those weight classes. So I respect those weight classes. Okay, but from the Salvador Sanchez's, you name it. However, okay. A lot of times, this is what people give me the accolades of certain fighters when you're talking about Inoue, okay? So I'll ask you, Milcar, who can you say with confidence, right, that Inoue's beat that's better than Richard Comey, for example?
People that he's beat that are better than Richard Comey?
Yes.
It's difficult to compare because obviously, the 135 pounders get much more profile, but I think that Emmanuel Rodriguez was an extremely high level fighter. I think that Juan Carlos Payano was a very accomplished fighter, and it's not just that he won. To me, it's the way he won. No one questions when Terrence Crawford is on the top of these lists. Well, his claim is since he's moved up to welterweight, he's fought Jeff Horn, right? He's fought who else has he fought off the Benavidez Jr. He's fought Khan. He's fought Kavalishkis, who I thought did very, very well against him.
Yeah,
and now he's facing Kell Brook. Like, what is there about his resume that makes it that no one questions that he's like one of the best fighters in the world, or pound for pound? You could dissect all these guys' records. You're gonna see holes and flaws.
It's no. What I'm saying is, what I'm trying to get at basically is this, right? A lot of time people give me the accolades, but it's with so many weight classes separated by so little pounds and 4 belts, sometimes 5 or 6 belts, okay, per weight class. It's easy to beat a former world champion and have a lot of former or current world champions in your resume. Okay, when you're fighting in lower weight classes, the math just adds up that way, right? I'm not diminishing what Inoue has done. I just think people put him so high on a pedestal. And I'm not saying you, but when I was saying that that Donaire's going to give him a tough fight, I mean, shit. Like, the people are like, oh, you're crazy. You're dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you're talking about. Inoue's
the same thing.
I'm one of the guys that thinks Tyson Fury's underrated, which
he's the
best crazy, but
he's the best heavyweight of all time, Tyson.
Bro, the only person in the history of boxing that I see being giving him a really tough test, there's actually 2. Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko. That's about it.
They may win 2 or 3 rounds against him.
Let me ask the round table this. Can any of you think of a unified champion that what's this? Oh, I got distracted by the okay. Can anyone think of a unified champion that was less accomplished than Julius Ndongo?
Yeah, but
I mean, that's who Terrence Crawford beat to unify the title.
It's
Milcar, you know what the thing is? I'm sorry to interrupt you, D-Style. You know what the thing is? Everyone thinks this guy is invincible. He's like, once we start like looking at fighters like they're like perfect, and they're unhittable, like, and he's not going to be able to blow everyone out of there. No. And the way people talk about him, that he is going to be able to blow everyone out of there, like that he's never going to be in a tough fight, like even now.
I think that's ridiculous.
We're saying that he's going to blow this like Maloney out of there. Why?
I just think here's what I think, and I have to be honest. I feel that a lot of the little guys sometimes get overrated, okay, because people don't want to acknowledge the accomplishments of fighters in higher weight classes. It's just how I feel. Okay, like for example, and I'll give you an example, and you kind of said it like earlier when you said, "Hey, those guys were late to the party." You know what I mean? Now, you've been seeing that Inoue was a good fighter before that. Credit to you, but no one was talking about Chocolatito when he was in his prime. Okay,
I was, but you didn't find it from YouTube, Dan Rafael or these other big name guys.
I didn't see him in the top 5s, a pound for pound list, or nothing like that until he was on HBO. Okay. me personally, and then it just felt like people that wanted to put him number one pound for pound were doing it because they didn't want to give Andre Ward that accolade. You know, I just like the sense I kind of get, like the sense I get sometimes. You know,
To me,
it's
the two
personal.
groups that don't get the credit are the little guys and the heavyweights. I think most of the credit goes to people between 135 and like 168 pounds.
Well, we're gonna see how much you guys believe in a win a little bit. I have a nice little question for you, but
Okay.
408 underrated or overrated in a way, or is he rated just fine?
I think at the moment he's rated just fine, and he's absolutely not unstoppable from what we saw against Nonito Donaire. I saw Nonito Donaire live take out Fernando Montiel. I literally like turned around. I was getting concessions, and the fight was over. You know, I saw him smoke guys out numerous times. A prime Nonito Donaire, it could have been a completely different fight. I mean, he just about knocked him out. But no, the monster's not unstoppable.
Okay. And midnight boxing. By the way, it's Halloween. Do you turn into a werewolf at midnight? Like, what's going on over here?
Yeah. I think he's properly rated. I think he's properly rated, but the illusion that some people get and maybe confused is that he's definitely overhyped. They're hyping him up because they need to bring him over. It's just a promotion tool, and it might seem nauseating and things of that sort, but nobody, the mainstream don't know who this guy is. He's never fought over here, so nobody knows who he is. That's just the way it goes. So there's a lot of overhyping going on to a guy that I believe that is properly rated.
I like what Nopal put. He put overhyped but not overrated. Like, you know.
Oh yeah.
I want to say something about the ratings real quick.
Yes,
I mean,
go ahead. Yes.
I know that there's pound for pound ratings and all that type of stuff. Me personally, I don't get involved in that. It's just never been my thing. But when I talk about fighters, you know, and especially guys that do get the hype, like an Inoue, I see something, you know, like I'm gonna mention it. I don't care. I don't give a damn what anybody says. I said it in my breakdown with Donaire. I said this guy's a monster on offense, but not on defense. Gets hit a lot, you know. And when I had to go back to that doodly fight, that's a part-time boxer. I mean, this dude was hitting him with lead right hands. I mean, that's a punch you should never get hit with in boxing, a lead right hand. And he got hit with several of those in that fight, you know? So defense is not the name of his game. You know, he can be hit. And I think Maloney's going to hit him. And I think he's going to make it interesting, man. I think it goes past 6 rounds. I mean, I think he's good. Don't get me wrong, but just, you know, defense, not his best thing. And that's something that he's got to work on, man.
All right. Well said. Okay. So here's what I want to ask you guys before we get to the Tank Davis part, okay? This is a question for all of you, all right? Who has a better shot at the upset, Maloney or Leo Santa Cruz? Okay, let's start with Chief Funky. Who has a better shot at pulling off the upset this Saturday?
I'm going to say Santa Cruz.
Oh, wow, okay. Man, wow. Milcar, who has a better shot at pulling the upset?
You know, early on, you were on Leave It in the Ring, the Monday show, and I had said at the beginning when I was thinking about the fight, Tank Davis. But then the more I thought about it, I've come to think that Santa Cruz is going to win. Recently, I've noticed a theme with Tank Davis. He just doesn't throw enough punches. And the fact that, you know, the fight with Gamboa was as tough as it was. I mean, I'm not saying it was like the toughest fight, but it was way tougher than it should have been. Combined with the fact that he has trouble making weight and the fact that, you know, Santa Cruz can box very well from the inside and from the outside and has tremendous punch variety and punch volume. So I'm picking Santa Cruz by 12-round decision.
Okay. All right. And but you just to be clear, you think Leo? So by definition, you think Santa Cruz has the best shot at an upset?
I think Leo has a tremendous shot at an upset.
Okay.
In fact, I wouldn't even really classify it as much of an upset at this point, based on Davis's recent track record.
Joe Habib, who has a better shot at an upset here?
Santa Cruz.
Maloney or Cruz?
Santa Cruz.
All right. Midnight Boxing, in your opinion, better shot at the upset this weekend?
If we're just talking about better shots, I think it's Santa Cruz.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Lecano stole my words. Wow. All right. There we go. And 408, best shot at an upset.
Unequivocally, Leo Santa Cruz. We know exactly what he's made of. He's a 4 weight division champion.
Okay. I think, man, this is tough, but I'm gonna have to agree with you guys. I think Santa Cruz has the best shot at the upset this weekend. Okay, so there you go. The chat, obviously, some of you guys had different opinions, and that's what it's all about. We're gonna find out on Saturday. Okay.
Does that include Chisora D-Style, or are we just talking about the Inoue Maloney fight?
Hey, if you want to put Chisora in the mix, you can. You think Chisora you think he's the best live dog?
I mean, if Santa Cruz is being considered a big underdog, then I'm going with Santa Cruz. I just think something interesting is going to happen with Del Boy. I could be wrong. I just get that.
He's got a feeling too.
Yeah, I got
He's got a feeling too, baby.
Dun, 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 dun. That's right. Okay. But let's talk about the fight. By the way, I have Gamboa's leg, by the way, from the fight. Have his leg. You know what I mean? Check this shit out, bro. This is the leg he was fighting with in the ring. Okay? It is. I swear to God. This is Gamboa's leg. He was fighting with this shit. Okay? He was walking around with a chain. And fucking Tank Davis still couldn't finish this dude. Look at this shit. All right? I'm just saying. Hey, Joe Habib, go on and give us a breakdown of this fight. Okay, and did this matter in the Gamboa fight to you?
Well, so much is being talked about with the size here, and I made a video today about it. I made a video back in August about this fight, and I was riding with Santa Cruz right from the jump. But the whole thing about size, Tank's not a big guy. Just because someone's heavy doesn't mean they're big. I mean, anyone can go to a buffet and pound down 5,000 calories worth of food and step on a scale and weigh a lot. But look at Tank's frame. The guy turned pro at 125 pounds, okay, and fought most of his career at 130.
Joe, he's the same height as Inoue.
Yeah, he's short. He's got small wrists, got small forearms. He's a small guy. Doesn't have big legs. He's not a big guy. He just, with all due respect, he eats a lot and doesn't train a lot when he doesn't have a fight scheduled. So he's a guy that's really not disciplined and doesn't stay in shape. And he's been like that his whole career. He's missed weight multiple times. And he fought one fight at 135 and he couldn't even make that weight. And he fought against a guy well past his prime, a guy who was thought to have not had a great chin in Yorikis Gamboa, a guy who's been stopped before, a guy who injured his ankle and Achilles tendon badly in the second round of that fight, but manages to go the distance. And Tank was fighting that fight, the whole fight with his mouth open. And everyone's saying, well, Tank only has to be right for 1 second, and Santa Cruz has to be perfect. Well, again, Gamboa got knocked down 3 times in that fight. He got up.
Featherweight.
Got up each and every time. Right? Got up each and every time. So Santa Cruz has a much better chin than Gamboa. I think has better defense. And I think he's a much more durable guy. And Santa Cruz is a guy that fought most of his career at 126. So only 4 pounds separated these guys. And Santa Cruz is 5'8" with a 69.5-inch reach. This guy has the frame to definitely fight at 130 pounds, possibly 135. So, again, I just think Tank throws too little, as Milkar said. And I said the same thing Milkar said. I think Tank is a mid-range guy. I think Santa Cruz can fight inside and outside, a little bit in the mid-range. But if he goes all the way in and smothers Tank's power, and he keeps him, and he goes all the way out and keeps him at the end of the jab and fights him on the outside and stays out of that mid-range, he can outwork and outbox Tank. And then when Tank takes those breaks and stops punching and goes up against the ropes, Santa Cruz can get right in it, get right close in there and start ripping those body shots. I just don't think that Tank is going to bully and maul Santa Cruz and throw him around like everyone thinks he's going to do. I think Tank is not going to make weight, and even if he does make weight, it's going to be a hell of a. He's going to have a hell of a time making that weight because again, both these guys have been off the pandemic. They probably couldn't go to the gyms for long periods of time. But I bet you Santa Cruz was out there running and doing calisthenics and stuff while in the pandemic, and Tank probably was messing around, eating, partying, and playing video games and shit while Santa Cruz stays in shape 24/7 all year round. Santa Cruz has a high output at the beginning of the fight all the way up to the end of the fight. Tank, I think, goes out of his way to slow the fight down, goes out of his way to fight at such a slow pace because he looks to me like he's going out of his way to conserve energy during the fight. And he's a headhunter, doesn't throw enough body punches, he's lackadaisical with his jab. I'm not saying Tank's not a dangerous guy. I'm not saying Tank's not a good counterpuncher. I'm not saying Tank's not an accurate puncher. He's not a sharpshooter. But he just is not active enough. And I just don't trust his conditioning. And I don't think all of a sudden he's just going to, for this one fight, put it all together. Everyone's saying, well, it's on pay-per-view. Oh, Tank's taking this serious. We used to say these things about Adrian Broner, and I'm not saying Tank's
about to say him, yeah.
We say all these things about Adrian Broner, and I'm not saying Tank's as bad as Adrian Broner, but he's got a lot of Adrian Broner-like tendencies and qualities in him. You know, and I'm not trying to characterize the guy, character assassinate the guy, but I see what I see. So he's not going to be able all of a sudden to put it all together just for this one fight because, again, this is a guy that lost his title on the scales. So when you win a championship and you have an opportunity to defend that championship, right? And you can't take that serious enough to come in shape and hold on and defend your title instead of losing it on the scales. If you don't have the mindset to make weight for that fight, what makes me believe he's all of a sudden going to put it together for this fight? Why? Just because it's on pay-per-view? What difference does that make? You know? He could be buying into all this. I'm the bigger guy, and Leo's the smaller guy type thing. He may be underestimating Leo Santa Cruz too. And again, I don't like anytime I see a guy training with a rubber suit on. That is a horrible sign to me. I used to see guys all the time training those rubber suits, and that's like training in a sauna. It's like training in a mobile sauna. It's not comfortable training in those things. Think about it. You're sweating. That's increasing your body temperature to uncomfortable levels. And if he's fighting, he's training and working out in that rubber suit, and he's already looking kind of grumpy and stuff, and he's kind of lethargic when he's being talked to in the interviews. I think he's having a fit camp. It's not really a training camp. He's having predominantly this training camp was a fit camp. I don't think I think this camp was used to get in shape, not in boxing shape, but just get in shape. You know, so I see Santa Cruz outworking Tank Davis and getting a 12-round unanimous decision.
I just want to put it out there. Yes, Kano. Yes, it is possible he could come out of shape. He was out of shape in the Gamboa fight. Okay, once again. Okay, this was Gamboa's leg, bro. Okay, this dude, right? This was look at this. Okay, he was dragging around with this shit like fucking, and he couldn't stop him. He was in terrible shape in that fight.
He was trying to pot shot
a one-legged Gamboa.
He was trying to
one-legged Gamboa. I'll say it again.
BFTB saying that he was 134 last month. No, he wasn't. He was 134 last week, bro. Not last month.
You can't be 130 on the eve of it, but let's go to Milcar. A Milcar.
Yeah.
How do you see this one going?
I agree wholeheartedly with what Joe was saying, and I actually think that the Adrian Broner comparison is a very fair comparison. In fact, it's a comparison that I had as well. And they're training partners. They clearly box in a style that's predicated on low output, pot shotting, and counter punching. And I just don't see that working against Leo Santa Cruz. I don't see it working against his activity. I don't see it working against the transitions that Leo always makes in fights between offense and defense and between body and head attacks. And you add that in addition to the issue of his weight and the fact that he's coming down in weight, and he's only going to be more depleted. So none of that bodes well for his ability to match Leo in terms of activity. And at the end of the day, activity is really what wins you rounds in fights that are seemingly close. And his activity levels are going to be way higher than Davis. And I actually agree with everything Joe was saying. He's actually the bigger man. He's taller. He's got a longer reach. He's got a larger frame. The only reason Tank Davis is conceived to be bigger is because he weighs more and has struggled with weight.
All right, Midnight Boxing. How do you see this fight?
So originally when this fight got signed, it's funny because it flashed on my phone and I said, oh man, this is going to be a pretty good fight. That's a good test for Davis. And then I paid no mind to it. And then when I got out of work and I had time to kind of go over it, I was surprised that this fight got made because it is a very dangerous fight for Davis. I think it's a good fight for him in the fact that Santa Cruz has heavy volume, rarely ever really gets tired, always presses forward, and showed boxing skills in his previous fight. But with Davis being so strong and powerful and not looking so good against Gamboa, I just think that this is a good fight to be made. So I'm glad that they did make this happen. I don't believe it's a pay-per-view quality fight, but that's a whole nother subject. But I do think it is a good fight. Now, who do I have winning this fight? It took a while to kind of come out with a clear victor because for the most part, I just think that Davis's explosiveness, I don't think he has a high output. It's not very constant, but his short bursts are very strong, very quick, and they could catch Santa Cruz coming in or trying to get out. But I don't know. I'm leaning towards Santa Cruz as well by decision, mainly on kind of. I don't want to say he's going to be outboxing Davis. I don't believe that at all. I just think that his strategy might be to wait a little longer, kind of keep the jab out there, keep him thinking, and try to not have him establish that rhythm and be able to do his short bursts until about the 6th, 7th round, where he could start implementing his high volume output. And I don't think he's stopping Davis or anything like that, but winning the fight. It was pretty tough for me to really analyze this fight. I'm very interested and intrigued in it, but I do think that Santa Cruz is a very live dog, and anybody that thinks that he's not a live dog, I'll be very surprised. Now, you could have Davis winning. I mean, like I said, I think Davis he's sharp, and he could come out here and really be very impressive and dominate this fight early by, like I said, those bursts coming in and being able to catch it. But to say that Santa Cruz, even if that happens, oh yeah, he's just not that good. No, I don't believe that at all.
Okay. And let's go with the 408.
All right, guys.
How do you see this one?
You know what? First of all, let me do a shot of tequila for this one, man, because I want to say saludos to all my people from Michoacan. I've got the blood of Michoacan in my veins. And, of course, Leo Santa Cruz is from Michoacan. So a shot of tequila first.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Woo. So, Leo Santa Cruz absolutely deserves all the accolades he's gotten. 4 division weight champion, 1,000 punches per fight when he won his first championship in 2012. But earlier I said that maybe I see him kind of where Chocolatito is. I didn't like his last performance against Miguel Flores, where he got the vacant 130-pound WBA belt. And also, judging from that first time he fought Carl Frampton, his first career loss, I see that Davis is his power is gonna give him problems, potentially give him problems really early. If I had to make a decision, I would ask you guys, can I make that decision tomorrow after I see the weigh-in? Because ultimately, Davis has got a ton of weight problems, like you guys have all said, and he could potentially gas out. If he has struggled on making 130 pounds, he's probably going to gas out, and that's where Leo still has an opportunity with the volume punching that he's known for to pull off an upset split decision win. But I don't know if you guys ever saw this. Davis did this extra. There's this boxing machine that weighs people's power per square inch. And Davis ranked up there with some heavyweights as far as power. So, and judging from how Leo did so poor, in my opinion, in his first fight with Carl Frampton, we could even see Leo Santa Cruz get knocked out. We could. It's entirely possible. He's well over 30 now. He could be tailing off in his career. But I'm absolutely rooting for Leo. And last thing, Midnight Boxing said this is not a pay-per-view fight. I completely agree with you. This is a pandemic. This is 2020. Boxing is on the decline as far as viewership. And Carl Frampton, too, only got 500,000, averaged 500,000 views, according to the Nielsen ratings. His second fight with Mars averaged 1.5. 2 weeks ago, Loma and Lopez averaged nearly 3 million. If Top Rank could figure out how to put this on for free, then surely Al Heyman could have figured out how to give this fight free to the fans. He's got the Box Network behind him. So I don't give him any props for that. This fight should absolutely be free to all boxing fans this weekend.
Yep.
Or at least
All
on
right.
Showtime.
Let me say this really quick. Hold on. Jason got the job done. Okay? If the dude didn't have a leg, Jason would have gotten the job done earlier. Okay? He wouldn't have struggled. He wouldn't have been fucking huffing and puffing against an old, washed up, one-legged man. That's right.
Ole.
And Chief Funky, go ahead,
Yes.
man. How do you see? Like, I understand keeping in mind the whole weighing on about, but so far, how are you feeling about this? And if you may talk to us about what do you see? I know you talked to a friend offline, and talk to us about that.
Yes, I did. I talked to a friend of mine who was a former pro boxer who fought around these weight classes that Davis Santa Cruz fought in, and he was telling me that the fact that Davis is wearing multiple layers, he's wearing long sleeves, he's wearing sauna suits, he's wearing beanies while he's training. That's not a good sign, man. That's something that you should be doing the last couple of days. Like right now, he should be wearing that. Yesterday, he should have been wearing that, but not 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, last month. That's not what you should be doing. It's a sign that, again, he's struggling to make weight, I think. And the thing is this: I know a lot of Davis supporters, and I see them in the chat. They're all trying to just sweep that under the rug, man. You can't sweep that under the rug. You just can't. When you're talking about this fight, because you got a guy in Davis who's got a history of missing weight, and you got a guy in Santa Cruz who has a history of always being in shape, always ready to throw tons of punches. So that has to be a factor. And again, you guys talked about Gamboa with the ankle. I mean, the guy was on survival mode from round 2, and he was able to go in there, and he was able to go 12 rounds. And just like Beep said, he got dropped, and guess what? He kept getting back up. Because the guy, the thing is this: Tank was tired in that fight, man. There's rounds where he was throwing less than 20 punches. He didn't even have enough strength or energy to push Gamboa off when Gamboa was hurt, and Gamboa just walked right in and just literally grabs him, walks him to the ropes. So he didn't have enough energy to push the man off. He's looking at the referee like, get this guy off of me. Like that to me, that's a sign of a guy who was badly out of shape. We can't just sweep these things under the rugs, man. Like, this was his last fight. He's got a history of this. And you know what? Here's the thing. I love Tank Davis, man. And I told this story a lot to people. When he fought on that undercard of Mayweather McGregor, I had a lot of people at my house, and I made sure everybody watched Tank Davis. When he was walking out to the ring, I said, man, you guys, I want you guys to watch this kid because I think this kid is very talented. He could be a future star. and he let me down that fight too. And that's another fight where he missed weight again. So I mean, these things, we have to keep these things in mind, man. He's got a history. Okay, so Leo's got a great chance, man. He really does. He's got a great chance. I agree with a lot of things that Beeb said. I think Leo's defense is underrated. He rolls with a lot of shots. He picks off a lot of shots with the gloves. He does a great job of keeping his hands up on the inside. When he's throwing his hooks to the body, he keeps that right hand up real nicely, real close to the chin. So I mean, he rolls with a lot of shots. He catches a lot of shots with the gloves. So I don't think that this is going to be a blowout by any means. You know what I'm saying? And I've been on multiple platforms and I've said it, man. I said I think Leo's got a great chance of winning this fight. A great chance. And here's the thing. I see all you guys out there talking trash. Okay, I better be back. It's the same thing you Lomachenko fans were saying to me 2 weeks ago.
We're not going anywhere, guys. We're gonna
be going nowhere, man. I've been here since 2011.
He's not going. No one's going anywhere.
Ain't going nowhere.
We're not going anywhere. Okay, are you going to be around when Tank doesn't make weight?
Do you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Do you ever see that movie, An Officer and a Gentleman?
Right.
Do you ever see that movie, An Officer?
No.
They were gonna throw him out of the Marines. You know what he said? I got nowhere else to go. I got nowhere else to go.
So
Neither do I, motherfucker. So I will be here.
Check it out. Just really quick. We're going to do this really just quick, like a minute or thought. That's it. Amilcar, Dan Rafael doesn't get James Toney. He doesn't vote for him in the Hall of Fame. Do you agree with that, or do you think James Toney should not be in the Hall of Fame because he tested positive for steroids?
To me, Dan Rafael's got zero credibility.
Right.
You can't call yourself a journalist if you're fanboying half the time and are like super biased, And to me, people like that just can't be taken seriously. I was actually pretty happy when Steve Kim was promoted to like the ESPN writer, and we no longer have to read Dan's shit because it's total shit. So yeah. I honestly, I could give a fuck about what his opinion is on the Hall of Fame.
Well, there you go. Chief Funky, what are your thoughts on that, man? Really quick.
I agree with Amilcar. Dan Rafael has been shit for years, and he's going to continue to be shit. This guy's just a hater. We all know he's biased towards certain fighters, and I've never enjoyed anything he's had to say or anything that he's ever written. So I could give a damn what he thinks about the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, you're right, Amilcar. I agree with you, man.
Midnight, really quick. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of echo off of Amilcar and G Funky. I don't really care what his opinions are. As for the whole steroids issue, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's still a hell of a fighter. Still great skills. Definitely inspired a lot of younger fighters to get in there. So it really depends on what you define as the Hall of Fame. What not only accolades, but what did you contribute into the sport? So I mean, it's a very in-depth. Well, it depends on how you really want to take it. But as to what Rafael's opinions are, I could really care less.
To me, I think he's in the Hall of Fame off of 160, 168, and even 190. I think what happened at heavyweight, you could just throw that aside. He's still in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he beat Holyfield. He beat Holyfield and John Ruiz at heavyweight.
Give me your thoughts, Veep.
I mean, in terms of the steroids, Joe.
Yeah.
I think I'm just saying he's already in the Hall of Fame before he even gets to heavyweight.
Well, here's the thing. No one made Dan Rafael the PED police, number one, and no one made Dan Rafael no one made him everyone's moral compass. He's fucking virtue signaling right here. I'm gonna try to make it brief. I'm gonna make it as brief as possible. The steroid that James Toney took is called decadurabolin. All that does is help with repairing, recovering from an injury. It's not going to make you a better fighter. First of all, he would never know that because the only thing he knows about is buffets. But with or without Dan Rafael's vote, everybody knows James Toney's getting in the Hall of Fame.
Facts.
Okay, mm-hmm. and who's the only fucking idiot that tweets out their ballot like, hey, look at me, look who I voted for. Well, why do you have to fucking even show us that? You know why? Because you want validation, you fat fuck, and you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get validation. Not from me.
Not from me.
Fucking clown. You're going to be the only fat ass with a vote that didn't vote him in.
Bro, he
How's
should have
that?
been kicked out of the BIAA or whatever it's called, just off of what he said about Shannon Briggs. Revoke his card. Why is he even allowed to be in that organization?
Everyone's clowning on him for that.
I agree. And the 408, man.
Yo, so this steroid thing you bring up, I played Little League Baseball during the steroid scandals of baseball. And being a Giants fan, we got Barry Bonds, we got Mark McGwire, the Bass brothers, Jose Canseco. All those guys, to me, deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
The entire sport of baseball was juicing at the time. So what are we going to eliminate all those people that played during that stretch of 10 years? And James Toney absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame of boxing. But again, hey, if you look at that card, the choices, there's some people that are not going to make the list that deserve to be there too, like Vinny Paz, Fernando Vargas, Wilfredo Vasquez. There's so many people who deserve to be on that list. A hard choice to just choose 5 guys. But James Toney, absolutely a Hall of Famer.
Here's what's going on with this steroid stuff with Barry Bonds and the guys you mentioned, right? They can't go into the Hall of Fame because they're accused of steroids. Meanwhile, how many motherfuckers from the era where black people weren't allowed in baseball are in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
That's what bigger performance enhancer is there than not playing against black people? They're all in the Hall of Fame.
Or the Latinos or the Asians.
Agreed. I mean, a lot of the blacks back then were Latinos. They're from Cuba, especially, and one of the best Negro League baseball teams was the Cubans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So look, it's like Joe said, it's moral signaling.
Right. Hey, here's what I want to say. My official prediction, and I believe G-Funk is too, will be tomorrow after the weigh-in. Okay? I don't believe in a dude that's already had a history of missing weight. Okay? Like, oh, how can you possibly believe that he's not going to make weight? Because it's already happened before. Okay? How many times did he have to do it on the second attempt? Okay? He looked in horrible shape against a guy that didn't have this leg. Okay? So, yes, of course I'm going to wait on the fucking weigh-in. That's when I'm going to give my prediction. All right? That's it. All right? With that said, this is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here. Peace.
Fuck you, Teddy.